All right. Let's see what we got. Oh, that is so loud. Hello, Jane. I need this human interaction. Hello. How are you doing, Katniss? I almost want to accept this now, but there's no real point. I don't know. Okay. Only this one gets us applicants. But honestly, applicants would be nice. Gumi will be back in 14 days. We need to be getting science with Gumi. Not too great, Lamel. Oof. Sorry to hear it. God, like, I'm trying to figure out what to do. We're modifying... No, we're not modifying the hangar. Alright, let's modify the hangar. How are you feeling? I'm not wanting to go back to work tomorrow, but other than that, I'm feeling alright. I slept in a lot this week, these little 2 days off, and I'm feeling both, not depressed, but refreshed and exhausted. And tomorrow will be my first day back at work, so... Been better, but also been worse. Okay. Let's see. So that'll be done in 2 days, and then we can start the assembly of this. This is the UX1C. I'm sure you can read. And it is basically a uncrewed version of the X1 that is modified to be something of a reusable sounding rocket. It's pretty cheap, so if it does break, we can replace it. But we would like to be reusing it as much as possible. Yeah. So we want to get more film satellites or film experiments done. So my solution to that is to just launch a plane into space. And while it can cross the Kármán line, Jesus, sorry, it can't quite make it to 150 kilometers, but it can get pretty close. It can get to like 130, and with upgrades to the engines, it'll definitely be able to run beyond that. Sorry, I'm trying to get my stream manager pulled up. All right, so with current people and tooling, we should be able to build this pretty easy. Yeah, 113 days. Yep. So, drank a bit too much rocket fuel. Yeah, pretty much. So this front section is actually from the Goldfisk, which is our V2 version. This aft section is from the X1 directly. These tail fins are from the X1. There's just 4 of them instead of 1. And then these wings are from the X1C. And this center body is a procedural fairing. The top has a flip-up hatch that hides the parachutes. The bottom is open for the camera. And it uses the standard power pack of the X1C, which is 3 of these XLR 11 RM5s. And it'll eventually be uprated to these once we get them, which, as you can see, shoots our thrust-to-weight ratio quite a bit higher. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. It's not super complicated, but it definitely can do the job. Wasp Nest engine cluster. Yeah, pretty much. But God help me, it can get the job done. I don't think God is enough. Oh, you might be onto something. I will say the parachutes are so that it can land. Basically the issue is that we don't have satellites yet. And so if we are out of the cone of sight for the Space Center, there's no way to communicate with this thing. So it can fly its own re-entry pretty well, but it can't land super well. So the solution there is to pretty much modify it just to land via parachutes. Still on the landing gear, though. And so far, that's worked really well. Now, that said, we're going to have satellites soon, as that right there is our satellite launch complex completed, which is insane. We can't quite start on the building of the vehicle quite yet. We can once this is done. We just can't put engines or avionics on it yet. But that'll still be something. This is really the golden goose, so to speak. What would that be? July 12th? Of 55, we can start fully building the satellite launch vehicle. Now, I want to make sure that the satellite is at least 30 kilograms, as that is the minimum size requirement for this contract. And if it's any less than that, then we're going to need to add ballast. I think this is the one. Yep, that would be it. Thousand kilograms in a ton. Yeah, that's 42 kilograms actually. Which is plenty heavy enough. And this is going to take how much? If we were to, let's see, staff. Did we only have 33 engineers. Shiza. Let's say half of max, right? When fully tooled, this will take 282 days. So 1956 is distinctly doable. And at maximum, 142 days. That's not bad. Baharsat, indeed. So we are launching our little friend here, Blahaj, into orbit once again. This time, just on her own. This part, I think, is, yeah, this is the avionics core. It has enough battery power for 4 hours of continuous operation, which should be plenty. And that means that a much smaller spacecraft can actually go and retrieve Blahaj. We'll probably keep it attached to the upper stage, or the core stage. There is no upper stage. And upon retrieval, we'll sever this connection between the tail and the payload adapter, and then grab the satellite and bring her home. So yeah, that's the idea. Pretty standard Soyuz, except for the fact that it's a 2.5 meter core. The reason for that being that we're eventually going to flare this out, like you see on the R7, to like a 3.5 meter diameter, and we're going to put NK-15 engines on it. So it's going to be a beefy rocket. But yeah. Let's set you as the core stage. All right. And we'll eventually build a launch pad for this and everything, but we need to tool it. We don't have the funds to tool it. 103,000 funds. I don't know that we'll even have that by the end of the year. Roundabout. We should do, actually. It's gonna be a tilted rocket. No. I think this would be the naming code for the Blahaj rocket. 0 being, like, the 0th generation, the prototype. 2 for the 2 boosters. 1 for... Or, well, no, it would be like that. 0 there for no upper stage, and then 1 for the smallest fairing option. 0 would be no fairing. All right. But yeah, that is Blahaj set. That is Blahaj. Now, we're just going to be doing spaceplane shit for a while. And once this is done, in 100 days, we can actually get to building like Miku and Kaito and so on. But until then, we're kind of stuck. So we're just going to be doing Gumi and the UX-1C Gumi. And then this is kind of our next goal, is getting the X-15 cockpit, because once we have this, we can actually send crew into space on board the X-1. Bombix Mori is alright with me. I don't know what that is. Make a moth. Is Bombix Mori a type of moth? Yes, it is. Why are we making a moth? But yeah, 3 days until we recover Gumi. We're gonna warp to that. Let's see. I'm gonna save real quick because I want to see 103,000. Estimate time 19th of May 1955. Okay. But if we hire more researchers or whatever, we could hypothetically, that'll push it out. We basically want to hire researchers until the day that we have enough to tool the blahage lines up with this date. Which is a hard thing to calculate because this date is going to change as we hire more researchers. So it's going to be one of those things that we kind of just do by feel, honestly. But, yeah. I'm wondering how much, the launch complexes are costing us. Oh, per year. Oh, okay, we're not gonna shut those down. Not yet, at least. That costs us basically nothing. Oh, we need to start building the UX-1C, though. But yeah, we could potentially name one of the rockets after a moth. That's actually the naming scheme that we're going with. Goldfisk means goldfish. Zilvermine means silver minnow. And blahage obviously means blue shark. So yeah. The good thing about this, though, is that we don't really need to tool anything. All of these parts are taken from other vehicles, which means that it was all pretty much tooled to begin with. Whoop. Let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb. But yeah. Okay. Let's see here. 308. Okay. So we'll get a couple flights out of this before we launch satellites that can't replace it, but can begin to replace it. Obviously means blue shark. I mean, I thought that was common knowledge. It's also apparently Blahai, but I'm not pronouncing it like that. Sorry. Alright. We're gonna go ahead and air launch this thing. Whoops. 18th of November. Ah, fuck. Okay. Okay. Air launch, fill tanks and launch. Blow high. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I like blahage. I think that rolls off the tongue as more of like a, it sounds more Swedish to me. But I do recognize that it is blow high, technically. Um, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing Guldfisk or Zilvermine correctly either, but canonically in the language of this space program, that's how they're pronounced. Just like Gemini is pronounced Gemini, but NASA says it's Gemini. Welcome, ePleb. Polish for a car worker. Okay, fascinating. Privyet, Tarwish. I butchered the fuck out of that. If there's one language that I will never be able to pronounce, it is Russian and its related languages. Anything Slavic. I think Privyet is high though. What is this? Comrade. Ah. I'm too Polish to translate it properly. Yeah. Um But yeah, we're gonna start X1 or UX1C flights soon. Transliterate. Cockdella? I don't know what Cockdella means. How's it going? It's going. Let me turn that off. And let's get everything that we need pulled up now. And put in the right place. Why don't we have sound? Hello? Fascinating. Nope, just nothing. Not a peep. Fascinating. How is business? Business is great in our country. Or company, sorry. Whoa. Business is not great in your country and you know it, Lucy. Oh boy, do I. Alright. Well, that was not a good flight. But it's not going to be one that kills us, I don't think. what exactly was the problem there? I don't know. Did we get any data? Nope. Well, that's fine. All right, locking in. Very good landing, though. Oh, for fuck's sake. Goodbye. Alright, recover to spaceplane hangar. I don't know if that even came through on stream or if the mod caught it. Bad bye. Okay, so it did come through. Oh, what the fuck? Molode underscore? For what? The username of the bot? It was solo shooting. Why? Okay, y'all are talking about something on y'all's own. Yeah, no science from that, unfortunately. I can almost pronounce Cyrillic. Wish that was me. Prep for air launch, and we're going to hire a bunch of new researchers. Okay, 625, and if we warp to the fund target of 104,000. July 18th. Okay. So that is the pace at which we can research things, I think, in reference to the landing. Ah. December 14th, okay. Okay, overshot it quite a bit, but that's fine. Do you know what an aspic is? Unless it's a picture of your ass? No, I don't. Type of meat or fish jelly used to mold and preserve food. So it's like gelatin. Kind of. Because of Boris is crazy. What does Urod mean? Apparently it means crop, but I doubt that it actually means that in this context. All right. Gear retracted. Autopilot enabled. Fine controls set. Ignition. Throttle up. Don't know why we don't have engine sounds. It's really strange to me, but... And I know that this looks unintentional, but it actually is intentional. And I want to try and get a little more science, but I doubt that the plane's gonna let me. Yeah, no. I think we have to get up to 400 kilometers to do that. What does Pizdic mean? Dare I ask? Pizdets, sorry. Means what the fuck are fucked up. I see. Put that in a sentence to indicate you're upset about the outcome, kind of way. Ah. I know what you mean. Yeah, Bliet. Everybody knows Bliet. Doesn't Sukobliet mean like son of a bitch? All right, focusing on landing this thing. There we go. Whoops. Well. Shit. At least we survived. Engine section is intact. This section's intact, but this is honestly not worth anything. You know, we were gonna upgrade the X1 anyway, so maybe we just call it for a bit and rebuild this in a bit. Oh yeah? What's that, Katniss? I don't know what it is. I'm scared. Kerwa. Ah, right. I think you have shared that with me before. I mean, I could say it like I mean it, but do I really mean it? Alright, tracking station. We're gonna try... Say it! Do it! Curva! Curva! I don't know. But we're gonna try and get that tail section back. You're officially Polish now. God damn, does that mean I can move over there? I can finally get out of this country? Is that all it takes? Probably not. Or rather, I don't think Poland would like me much more. Okay. Okay, then why are you giving me that option? I mean, no, you're lovely. Yeah, I mean, conservative asshats don't like me anywhere. I'm like a conservative's worst nightmare, but not only am I trans, but I'm also stealing their women. I'm fucking their bitches better than they ever could. I'm a threat. I'm a threat to democracy. Oh, God. I'm tired. That's what I am. Might have me a third cup of coffee. Fuck the conservatives like their bitches. I hope that this takes me to the tail section and not the nose section. Because the nose section isn't fucking worth anything. Go sleep if you're tired. Dude, I've done so much sleeping this weekend. Weekend? Jesus, it's Wednesday. This week, these couple days off, it feels... I think sleeping isn't gonna help me. Okay. This is what I want to recover. Why won't it let me recover this? Maybe if I recover this to the space plane hangar, it'll give me the other as an option to recover. Don't know if that's true or not. We'll see. I will say the place that I'd like to move to isn't that far from Poland. I think it might actually border it. Yeah, it does. It's a shame I even had to think about that. There's like a whole war that they fucking fought over that. But yeah, I'd like to move to Germany. Berlin specifically. Which is like not walking distance from the Polish border, but like not much more than walking distance from the Polish border. Germany is Polish conservatives' worst nightmare. Genuinely. I feel like I don't know. Like Polish conservatives have reason to be fearful because like their country has been just ransacked many times. And like America has never been through that. There's no reason that we need to be like the Mexicans and like whatever. Like nobody's invading us. Nobody's capable of invading us. In storage. I think that this is probably the wrong part. But like Poland at least has some history of like being the underdog and being taken advantage of and whatever. Doesn't justify it, but it at least explains why people are afraid. If my fucking country had been occupied by the Soviet Union, I'd also be a little scared all the time. But like it's not not the end of the world. Russia's the only country that celebrates independence from Poland, by the way. What do you mean? Russia was never under the control of Poland. That I know of. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, what the fuck ever. What the fuck ever. Like, that's so long ago that it doesn't matter. Not to be like old history doesn't matter, because, like, it does, but, like, come on. Like, you might as well celebrate not being under the control of the Romans anymore. Like, you know, Poland in the 1600s is not Poland now. They share a name and they share a history, but, like, there's so much between then and now that, like, they're not the same. It's like people that try and be like, "Oh, Germany is still Germany. They're gonna start World War III," and it's like, no, the fuck they're not. Might as well be an entirely new country. It's just in the border and has the name of Germany. I don't know. Maybe that's a very, like, American take, but what do we have in terms of experiments unlocked? We could probably do that one on a satellite. Let's see. How long does this take to complete? 2 hours. Okay, no kidding. Alright, we're gonna save the game. Warp to complete. I might just put a ion mass spectrometer on this thing for kicks, for shits and giggles, because I don't know, you might as well, yeah. There we go. But yeah, I I don't know, we might just skip directly to the X1 variant that has the X15 cockpit on it. But I don't know for sure. Because we're probably going to get more science out of, like, Miku and Kaito than we will out of the X1 from now on. We have some science to gain, but mostly just from getting crew over the Carmen line. And at that point, we may actually serve to see more benefit from the X15 equivalent. So I don't know. We just finished the material science though, so we can start on Miku and Kaito. And probably get some science from them. Let's see. Minimum surface speed. Okay, we could probably do this. Hello, Kerbal. There we are. This one's gonna take a little bit longer. But we could definitely do this one. And then high altitude flight we can't do. Hypersonic flight we can't do. So we're gonna build Miku first, and then Kaito. Let's see. I assume we can't build this. Ah, fuck. We're gonna need to change the densities of all these. Which I forgot was a thing. That even exists. Okay. Now can we build it? Hypothetically, it looks like we can. Let's see. Is it worth tooling? I don't think it is, but it is going to be worth hiring more engineers. Let's see how that affects our budget. Oh, we're fine. Okay. Not enough funds. Okay. That's fine. We'll warp a little bit. We'll build it. And we will rock and roll. I want to see when the X-Plane program actually like concludes so that we can make sure that we have everything by then. I think we're okay. I think we accepted it at like the slowest pace. But I'm not 100% sure. But we'll see. Admin building. Deadline 1960. Okay. That's cool. We can do that. Warp to funding target. Yep. Cool. All right. We got 14 days till the UX1C rolls out. We'll have the X2, or X3 rather, shortly following. And then that'll get an upgrade eventually to be Mach 2 capable, but we can start flying it now and get Mach 1 science pretty easily. Integrate anyway. Awesome. And then, yeah, in the meantime, we're just going to run the UX1C, get some suborbital film data. We can fly that every, like, 2 weeks, give or take. And we'll just be doing that until we have, I mean, as much science as we can get. As we inch closer and closer into orbit. But I will say this will be our first spaceplane, and it's not crewed. which is not what I was expecting. I was expecting our first, like, even attempt at a space plane to be something that is piloted, but we're doing space drones, I guess, which is fascinating given we're in the 50s. But I do think that we could build something like this in real life. It's not overly complicated. It's basically just a A4B with parachutes. Yeah, I mean, it's an autonomous aircraft. So what else would you call that? I mean, it's a missile with wings. It's less of a plane than anything, but I would still consider it a plane. It flies like a plane. I won't say it lands like a plane, but it, yeah. Now, we do need to be really careful at the distance that we launch it. I've found that 100 kilometers works rather well. Much more than that does not. But, yeah. We're going to try and get this thing into as steep a climb as we can to try and get it up to as high on altitude as possible. It does have reaction controls. It can survive re-entry. Knock on wood. But, it's proven itself in simulations. So, I think we're okay. It sure doesn't land like an aircraft, though. But if we had that capability, we would. We just can't really do that because of connection issues. If we were landing it on the runway, we probably could. But I don't want to make this thing reliant on that because I can't even get a piloted aircraft to reliably land on the runway. So, yeah. Once again, no rocket engine sound. No idea what's up with that, but it's fine. But we're going to go for, I mean, as close to, if not past the Karma line as we can get. And, yep, just making sure those limits are set correctly. So, lost control a little bit there. But we are still over the Kármán line. And we should still be collecting data. Yeah. Pretty good amount, actually. Oh, we were not running these, which is a mistake, but that's fine. But yeah, directly beneath us is the Space Center. Some 100 kilometers beneath us. The year is 1955, and we have a plane in space. We're going to go ahead and arm that just in case we lose connection. And we'll nose down. But this thing has been quite flip happy in simulation. It's pretty consistently survived, though. Knock on wood, but I know this doesn't look like surviving. All right, vehicle is subsonic. We're mostly out of the danger zone. We'll cut reaction controls. And, yeah. I probably need to nose in more, because you can see it flies fine once it gets below altitude. It just can't do it before then for some reason. But yeah, we can actually enter this thing into like a flyback maneuver. Try and land it as close to the Space Center as possible. I'm surprised it can go this fast with the fucking door open, but it seems to be able to. We're gonna go ahead and get the gear down. We should have parachute deployment here. So, we're downrange for the Space Center, but not that downrange. We can nose up a bit to extend our glide a little, but it's going to be largely in vain. That's probably about as far as we're making it. And yeah. Shoots deploy. And it usually touches down just barely on that rear gear and kind of slams its nose down. Not exactly nominal, but where else are you going to put the parachutes? But yeah. Cool. And we have effectively gotten rid of our reaction control. So we are about as light as we can be. And, yeah, let's just zoom out and watch this thing touch down. There we go. The first reusable sounding rocket. Recover to spaceplane hangar. Like, it's a weird fucking thing, but it does work. It does work pretty well. And that big pedal on the top acts as basically a giant air brake. Which is great, because I don't even think we have air brakes unlocked. But yeah, I am interested to see how much science that gave us. Technically, it's less than we could have gotten, but, should still be a little bit. Given it's uncrewed, there's very little risk. And I will say, there is potential for a much, much bigger variant with the detachable rockets that we could mount to its wings, which is something that I want to put on the X1 eventually to get it past the Kármán line and past the boundary of space, which is 150 kilometers in Sol. But, yeah, that's solid 1.5 science from something that cost us like $200 to launch. It's not bad. It's not great, but it's not horrible. So, a couple more flights of that and we can unlock the X-15. And yeah, it takes 3 days to recover and then 2 days to air launch. Like, we can just keep launching this thing over and over again. It's kind of crazy. But again, there's nothing, like, rule-breaking about it. It's just a rocket. Hope it refueled. Because if it didn't, we're gonna be recovering this thing off the ground. But, yeah. Because it didn't give me an option to refuel it. I might have had to go back into the editor to do that. If I had Hyper Edit, I would refuel it here, but... C'est la vie. But yeah, I'm decently impressed with how well this thing works. I will say. Because, I was expecting much worse. Given it was literally a thing that I sketched on the back of a post-it note, like, it works pretty well. and it did not refuel it. So we can actually recover it now, though. I wonder if that instantly recovers it. But yeah, would you consider this a drone? Would you consider it a plane? What say you, Katniss? And or Epleb, if you're here. I think it's Epleb, not Epleb. It's a loitering munition. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I assume you know what the A4B is. Or V2B, if you want to. I don't think it was ever called that, but the aggregate A4B. Like, it's whatever you consider that. Was that a rocket plane? Probably not, but it is a rocket with wings that glided. Like, it's really a matter of, like, what do you consider that? Okay. 9 days to peel it off the runway, eh? Shiza. Alright. Edit. We can refuel it. What the fuck? They actually built that? Yeah! It flew twice. It... the one time, the fucking wing fell off while it was exceeding the sound barrier. The second time, though, it reached Mach 5. Like, in a lot of ways, it's the first hypersonic aircraft. Just only if you squint. But if squinting's all it takes, that's not pretty bad. But yeah, eventually there were plans to put it on top of the A-10 and use that as the America bomber. But yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Like, it's an aircraft if you have brain damage. Like, if that's an aircraft, then a butterfly is a bird. You know what I mean? But it's still something with wings. It is, like, I would consider it an aerospace craft. Which is to say a spacecraft that is not purely ballistic. Which this thing is. It's slightly not ballistic. Only slightly. Neither. I would say all one word, aerospace craft. So, like, that. Maybe I like aerospace spacecraft more than I like that, though. Okay, prep for air launch. Oh, it slows that down? That sucks. Air launch. Boom. Aerocraft space. Yeah, that. But yeah, no, it's like a... It's something between a rocket and a spaceplane. It's definitely not a spaceplane, but it's also definitely more than a rocket. Like, it's a rocket that can glide. Today, you would call that a hypersonic missile, but I think calling this a hypersonic missile is, like, absurdist. Like I said, it's whatever you would call the V2B or the A4B, which is just a V2 with wings. Is that a plane? Almost certainly not. But well, it does not necessarily mean powered flight, because some people consider hypersonic glide vehicles as hypersonic missiles. I think that that's incorrect, but that is technically considered a hypersonic weapon. This is not quite that. It's just short of that. But, it's something. Yeah. Yeah. Like, it's... All spaceplanes are aerospacecraft, but not all aerospacecraft are spaceplanes. That's kind of my viewpoint, right? Is that this is something simpler than a spaceplane, but yet more complex than just a rocket. I'm going to actually drag these out so that we don't accidentally shoot deploy. Throttle up and climb. And Kinzhal is just a air-launched SRBM. Yeah. That's the Russian hypersonic missile or whatever, right? I forgot that I put, like, spoilers on the nose. On the, God, what the fuck are these called? You know what these are. I don't. I can't remember the name of, like, nose control surfaces. But, yeah. I put spoilers, quote-unquote, on those so that we could maintain insanely high angles of attack and do this nonsense. Though it adds enough drag to almost cancel out any benefit, which is interesting. But we'll go ahead and flip this open. It's the not actually a hypersonic missile. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. And we'll go ahead and arm these chutes. And by kind of aligning these control surfaces towards the prograde vector, we can maintain a little bit more control. It still is likely going to flip out of control, but we can at least hold this attitude for longer. Ooh, too much of a pull up there. I should set limits on that. That's fine though. I like that it's saying an ISP of 483. I don't know what the fuck that's in reference to. Not the damnedest clue, but... yeah, and I stalled it. Damn. Well, we're gonna deploy the gear. That way, once it has chute deployment, it'll be a little bit more stable. $13Gs is pretty fucking intense for this airframe. But it hasn't broken yet. We're kind of starshipping here and flying backwards, but it's gonna survive. Of course, Ferrum's freaking the fuck out. Large scale stall, but there we go. And recover to spaceplane hangar. BRB 1 hour. I may not be live in 1 hour, dog. I'm fucking starving. I'll try my best, though. I do kind of want to try and see if I can modify the UX-1C for crossing the 150-kilometer barrier. I think I have an idea of how we would do that. I just don't know that it's smart. But I can definitely think of a way. So we might throw it in the simulator and see if we can't get there. Let's see. Let us see. Because I know we're planning on putting drop tanks on the X1C or D to see if we can basically get it past the altitude. But oh, that is not what I wanted. Okay, there we go. But the wings are through the center line, which means that we could hypothetically do this. Or this is the UX one. I want the X1 D2. Which I think is in this save? Yeah. And then we would do this. And attach like so. Let's try attaching these where they were actually meant to be attached. Yeah, why aren't these decoupling? Because this should not be, you shouldn't be crossfading. I don't understand what's happening here. Oh, it's because we don't have the fucking tanks filled. Okay, let's try this in simulation. I also want to set the decoupling force on these. Yeah, make sure that's like a pretty good amount. Yeah, fuck it. Let's go. And then the key with this is that we actually do an entry burn to decelerate as we're coming down. And the reason for that is that it gives us a little bit easier of a time re-entering. Still gonna probably be a bitch to re-enter, but hopefully less so than if we didn't do that entry burn. Because I don't think we'd survive if we didn't. Doing an entry burn on a space plane in the 50s is insane. I understand the insanity of what I'm proposing, but it's the best I got. It's the best I have. And I think we can do it. Of course, if we have an engine failure, this whole thing just explodes. But it doesn't have crew on it, so it doesn't matter. We really are flying an autonomous drone at Mach 5 past the border of space. And there ain't a thing in the world that can stop us. So let's see if it proves as good in simulation as it does on paper. Well, immediate first problem. We don't have avionics. That's solvable, though. Go ahead and launch. We still don't have audio for our engines, but that's fine. And we're gonna actually adjust our staging here a little bit. we just run this like this until we are over the altitude that we're aiming for. And it should be pretty much good till then. So there's Kármán line. Still have a kilometer per second of delta V. Or over, actually. We're going to go for 155. So round about there. That gives us 500 meters per second for the entry burn. Which ain't the worst. And surface velocity, we do still have a little bit of a forward component. Not a ton. But it's a little. We're technically in space, so big achievements there. And this is more or less what we want to do with crew, except on the top we would have an ejectable crew module that is like X-15 class, essentially. So that is the slight difference. All right. We're coming back through. If Kerbal unfreezes, there we go. We're gonna do this. And we're gonna actually entry burn like in a kind of nose up attitude. The thinking is that this will give us more horizontal velocity, which is something that we're gonna need to survive. We're gonna go ahead and flip that open. So that our chutes are ready, and we're gonna slowly bring the engines to life at about 100 kilometers. And yeah, goal is to cut them off at about 70 kilometers or so. But we need to do this slowly so that we can maintain control. Whoop. Right, and that cuts our speed down to about 900. Oh, I was hoping that we could manage to nose down, but it looks like we weren't fast enough. With any luck, we survive. It's gonna take luck, though. We're going Mach 2 almost straight down. But it looks like we've done it. We've at least reached safe speeds that this thing should be able to recover from. We've probably well overshot the Space Center, but... No, actually we're coming... goddamn, like more or less straight down on it. If this was any normal aircraft, we would have overshot it by now, but... this thing goes pretty much straight up and down. Flies straight up 150 kilometers and horizontal travel is about 100 kilometers. Cool. All right. And we can drop the gear. And at this point, we should pretty much be safe to land. And like that, we have a reusable sounding rocket. Well, semi-reusable. But, yeah. How much data did that bring back? 2.1. So... It's really not bringing back that much more than it would in a normal flight, so I may not do that. Just because it's not serving us much benefit. But we can do it, and we might eventually. But for right now, let's remove these. Save edits. Oh, and we can get off to the races. But I don't know, we need like 3 more flights of this thing, tops, before we can unlock the X-15. But we may be able to get all that data in 1 or 2 flights of Miku. So I don't know what we do here. I'm not quite sure. All right. We might hold off on this just because we are about to have this researched. We kind of could use that. Because we need to have money to start tooling the Blahaj. Because I think we need like 104,000. Yeah. quick save. We can warp to this being done. That's where we are financially. Let's start taking a look at this. Okay, shit. Oh, and it just let us tool that. Shiza. Okay. Insufficient funds to unlock. 170,000 to unlock. Okay. I don't know what percent we need to unlock stuff. But we do have it tooled. So that's cool. But we do want that unlocked. I'm thinking. Because if we can't build it until we unlock that stuff, then we're gonna need to wait quite a while. But if we need 170k, then that'll actually push us into next year. Well, let's do this. Because that'll put us close. We're also going to need to hire a just shitload of staff. But we'll do that after we start building this thing. Not modern communications is... That's going to be on this end, I think. Or this one? Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Oh god, how do I fucking do this shit? Isogrid tank. So conventional is gonna be these? I think. That's avionics. I think that should be all of it. Okay, there's one conventional tank and the avionics. So avionics, stringer mass. That's probably a conventional tank somewhere, or avionics on the orbiter. Or not the orbiter, the rocket. Words are hard. Oh, is this this is a part. I forgot about that. Okay. And then this needs to be set. Those are set. I don't know how to set an isogrid stringer tank. Oh, because the modular ones don't have it, but the procedural ones do. Weird. Okay. Is that better? Integrate anyway. Okay. And let's get pretty much everyone on staff. Off of the hangar. We'll leave like 13 and then just start hiring people like there's no tomorrow. All right. We're going to get that time down just by hiring a bunch of people next year. But we will have something in orbit by 1956. Which puts us a year ahead of the real life Sputnik 1. But yeah, let's go do a flight of Miku. And then we'll probably wrap up stream after that. Because I am starving and I need to go get some food. Hope everybody's doing well. I assume we have some people in chat lurking. All right. And we can go ahead and launch that. We only have one pilot. We only need one pilot to fly this thing. It has space for a second in case we want to do like training missions, but I don't know if there's any actual benefit in doing that other than just like extending the retirement date. But yeah. Sorry if y'all can hear my phone. A friend of mine's coming over in a little bit and was letting me know that they're going to be a little bit late, which honestly might work better for me. So. All right. But yeah, Miku, we're going to try and get some supersonic data on this. Ah, fuck. I forgot to accept the supersonic contract. So might go do that. Because if we're not doing this for a contract, then we're really just doing it for fun, and we don't have the time or the money to do things for fun. Okay. I think we can leave this on the runway, though. If we need to do a new launch, then we're just going to cheat the contract. But I don't think it'll come to that. All right. Yeah, and then after this flight, we should actually have, I think it's mature supersonic, maybe, unlocked, and that should actually allow us to go like Mach 2 plus on Miku. In which case, we're probably gonna just do the Mach 2 contract after this one. But that'll either be off stream or on the next stream. But we could definitely do this one. That just gives us more confidence, and we can probably use confidence. If we want to do like Spaceplanes in the future, it might be beneficial to get more funding. Or more funding quicker. Especially given we may be trying to do first spaceplane and first space stations concurrently. In almost an MOL type thing. So yeah. Okay. We're just gonna kind of try and wait for these to get up to full thrust. Ah, shit. I forgot it did that. Well, I think we can start experiments from this tab. But there's a way to do it. It's kind of a bitch, but once we get up into the air, we can start on that. Not the best takeoff, but a successful takeoff, barely. Alright, let's see if we can figure out how to start that experiment. There might be a way to do it through action groups? Yes. Start crew report, start telemetry analysis, and start supersonic flight. This contract parameter is just level flight between 400 and 450 meters per second. We're going to try and do that as high as we can in the atmosphere, just for the sake of being able to fly a little better. I'm going to turn down the volume because that looks loud as shit, and it's really loud in my ear too. And while nobody's telling me that it's really loud, I assume it's a little too loud for y'all. Alright. We should be able to break the sound barrier here, no problem. And there we go, vehicle supersonic. I will say though, at this altitude, we're going to be struggling to go much faster. So we're going to try and climb this thing as fast as we can. I think closer to 15 kilometers or so, we should be good. But we're going to want to actually roll this thing south, probably. I think that's north. Yeah, this is south. Awesome. This way, if we have any issues, we can always divert. But there is the high-speed testing. I think we need to be at, what, 450 for Mach 1 flight? Or supersonic flight, or whatever? Was that what it was? Supersonic flight, 450 to 425. Cool. And there is 450. We should be... Yep, we are collecting data. Awesome. Oh, you can barely see that one. Oh well. Oh shit, we actually exceeded the speed that we were aiming for. Whoops. Okay. There we go. We're gonna try and head kind of north-ish. Get us close to, if not all the way back to the Space Center. we kind of want to follow that kind of curve. So go a bit further out. Looks like we might have actually completed the data though. So we may just chart a course directly for the Space Center. God, what a beautiful plane. Just so, like, narrow, streamlined. Whoops. It's kind of based on the Stiletto, but also the Starfighter and a couple other aircraft. Alright. Space Center should be somewhere around here. Yeah, it looks close enough to being on course at least. Let's see, is flight recorder still recording? Might have died. Yeah, it seems to have died. It always does that. We're gonna we're gonna, Jesus, words, overshoot, and we're probably going to approach from the west here. So put the vehicle into a right-hand bank and pull it around the side. But should be the Space Center right around here. I think it's just beneath this cloud. But, yeah. Okay. So, line ourselves up. sure how high I need to be to quick save. 500 meters. Yeah, it seems to work. Okay, let me put some 5Gs, 1 degree of side slip, 5Gs. Because we are pulling a lot of Gs. Just trying to get this thing kind of straightened out with the runway in a not so clean manner. Whoa. Alright, we might quick load. Yeah, we're gonna retry that approach. Anyway, I'm gonna do that off stream though. Because my hands are jittery, my blood sugar is crashing, and yeah, that was not a clean approach because I'm trying to rush, and things break when you rush. So, but yeah, we're gonna get this thing down, and I will see all of y'all probably on Saturday. But until then, take care.